I'm done with this. So how many times have you heard that phrase over the last several months? I'm done with this. I can't take this anymore. You know, I've heard it a couple of times and I've looked around and nobody else was there. I realized it was me saying, this is it. I'm done with this. During these months of isolation, many of us have become frustrated. We're frustrated because of the isolation itself. We're frustrated because of the masks that we have to wear at all hours now, anytime we're outside of our home. We're frustrated with people, sometimes even the people we live with. People that we love, but little things suddenly become very, very important. What does the Bible say about this? Amazingly, even though the word COVID doesn't appear in the Bible, the word patience does. The Bible talks a lot about patience. There are two words, especially in the New Testament, that are commonly translated for patience. The first one of them is a word that literally means long-suffering. We use the word long-suffering. It's kind of an old English word to mean patience. Long-suffering is simply being able to put up with someone for a long, long period of time. One of the passages that talks about long-suffering is actually a passage that we've studied before from the book of Matthew, chapter 18. It's called the parable of the unforgiving debtor. Peter came to Jesus and asked him, Lord, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times? And you know Jesus' response. No, not 7 times, Jesus replied, but 70 times 7. Now you might wonder why that unusual response. First of all, it's a play on Peter's words. But I wonder if, too, Jesus isn't recalling the book of Genesis chapter 4 when Lamech sins against his neighbors and he's in danger of being killed. He says if Cain was avenged 7 times, Lamech will be avenged 70 times 7. I wonder if Jesus wasn't thinking a little bit about Lamech's word, not that my vengeance will be 70 times 7, but my forgiveness will be 70 times 7. Then Jesus gives a parable, the parable of a man who owed a rich man, more money than we could even imagine. When we looked at this passage earlier talking about forgiveness, we discovered that the amount of money that he owed was actually more than Rome would collect from all of Palestine in taxes in a year. It was almost 2 years worth of taxes from Palestine. He owed more money than he ever could have spent. The master says, throw him into prison. And in verse 26, the man fell down before his master and begged him, please be patient with me and I'll pay it all. He had no chance of paying it all. But he said, be patient with me. That's this word, long suffering. And the master, you know the story, he said, okay. And he not only was patient with him, he forgave his debt. That debtor went out and he found a man who owed him money. Now, it was a significant amount of money. It was 100 denarii. That is 100 days' wages. So it was in the thousands of dollars. But it was conceivable that this man could have paid him. The unforgiving debtor had him thrown into prison. When the master found out, he went through the roof. He had him thrown into prison. He had him tortured until he could pay it all. The point of this passage is to make sure that we understand that the way to patience, the way to long-suffering, is forgiveness. We are with people that we love, little things get under our skin, forgive them. The second word for patience in the New Testament literally means to stand strong. It's also translated endurance. We see this when Paul gives a list of qualities that we need to develop in Romans chapter 5, verse 2. Paul says, because of our faith, Christ has brought us into this place of undeserved privilege where we now stand. We confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing God's glory. We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. Problems and trials, COVID, actually helps us. It helps us develop patience, endurance. Endurance develops strength of character. Character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. Patience occurs in a list of character qualities that we need to develop that leads to our own salvation, or at least the hope of that salvation, the understanding that God has given us that salvation. In the book of Colossians, Paul links these two concepts, endurance and long-suffering, together when he says this in chapter 1, verse 11. We also pray that you'll be strengthened with all his glorious power, so you'll have all the endurance and patience that you need. May you be filled with joy, always thanking the Father. The way to endurance, the way to patience, thank God. Find something for which you can be thankful. You're tired of the isolation. Find something in even that isolation that you can thank God for. You're tired of the masks. Find something that you can thank God for. So our path away from the frustration, forgive, be thankful. Tomorrow, we'll get back to talking about discipleship, specifically service as discipleship. See you tomorrow.